Malachi awoke in the bed within Linda's quarters, his body still heavy with sleep. The soft hum of the spaceship's systems filled the air. Before he could even sit up, Linda was already at his side, her warm hands lifting him gently. "Good morning, sweetheart," she cooed, her voice soothing as she checked him. "Looks like someone's a little wet." Without hesitation, she carried him to the changing area, moving with a practiced ease. Malachi didn't resist. Not anymore. The protests that once bubbled up inside him had dulled into quiet acceptance. As she secured a fresh diaper around him, she smiled. "It's going to be a very big day today. You're starting your first class to prepare for life on Uul." After changing him, Linda brought him to a cafeteria where several other residents were already eating. The space was large, but she explained there were multiple cafeterias across the ship, each designated by dependency levels. Level 1 residents were the most independent, nearly self-sufficient, while Level 4 residents, like Malachi, were considered the most dependent and required the highest level of care. Linda smiled as she watched him eat. "Most families adopting a resident want someone with a lower dependency level," she explained. "But you, Malachi, I'm keeping for myself. I've grown quite attached to you." Her words sat strangely in his chest, but he pushed them aside and focused on his meal. Once breakfast was finished, Linda led Malachi to the theater, where another puppet show began. This time, it explained how life on the new planet would be structured. The show described families taking in human residents and caring for them like children or pets, providing food, shelter, and enrichment. But unlike the others in the audience, Malachi's fate was already decided. He would remain with Linda. The puppets danced, painting an idyllic picture of daycares, recreation centers, and learning stations, all designed for human comfort. Everything was structured, controlled. It all seemed so perfect. Too perfect. After the show, Linda suggested Malachi play with some of his peers. He hesitated, but eventually wandered toward the ship's indoor playground. He sat on a swing, pushing himself slightly, lost in thought. "Want me to push you?" Malachi turned to see a man who looked only a few years older than him, his demeanor far younger than his body suggested. "I guess so," Malachi replied. As Jerry pushed the swing, Malachi glanced at the swing next to him. A young woman around 19 or 20 sat there, her expression tense, her body rigid. "You're not into this, huh?" he asked. She sighed heavily. "Number I was just talking and then, boom, put on this ship. I signed up for a private program. Next thing I know, I'm here." "What's your name?" Malachi asked. "Jamie. I'm Malachi." Jamie looked at him seriously. "Listen, Malachi, when your alien falls asleep tonight, meet me back here. Some of the other residents and I have a plan. We're going to get out of here." Malachi felt a pit form in his stomach. Escape? Could they even do that? But before he could say anything, Linda called him. The rest of the day passed in a blur. Meals, lessons, more puppet shows. But his mind remained fixated on Jamie's words. That night, Malachi lay in bed waiting patiently. As soon as Linda's breathing steadied, he slipped from his bed and quietly made his way back to the playground. A small group had gathered: Jamie, Jerry, and a few others. Jamie's eyes gleamed with determination. "I'm not spending 300 years as some alien's pet," she whispered. "We have to fight back." Malachi hesitated. "But what can we do? We're light years from Earth. There's no way to fly back." Jamie's jaw tightened. "We don't have to make it easy for them. If we act out, maybe they'll send us back." Malachi wasn't convinced, but before he could respond, a loud alarm blared. Bright lights flooded the playground. Linda and a group of other aliens stormed in. "Run!" Jamie yelled. Chaos erupted. Malachi sprinted, but the polished floors made it hard to find traction. His heart pounded as he tried to keep up with the others, but before he could take another step, he stumbled. His body hit the floor hard, and before he could get up, Linda was already there. She scooped him into her arms effortlessly, holding him against her chest. "Shh, it's okay, sweetheart," she murmured, gently stroking his back. Everything's all right. Malachi wanted to fight, wanted to yell. But something inside him, something tired, something resigned, let go. Linda carried him back to her quarters, whispering soothing words. She laid him down, changed him without a word, then tucked him in. Her fingers brushed his hair as she hummed softly. "You're safe, Malachi. You're home now." A strange calm washed over him. Maybe Jamie was right. Maybe this wasn't the life he wanted. But as sleep pulled him under, one thought lingered in his mind. Did it even matter anymore? The next morning, Malachi woke to the sound of soft humming. Linda was standing over him, adjusting his blankets, her warm gaze steady. "You slept so well," she said, running a gentle hand through his hair. "I was worried after last night." Malachi blinked. The night before felt like a distant dream. Had he really tried to run? It felt so pointless now. They were in deep space. There was nowhere to go. "Come on, sweetheart," Linda continued. "We have another big day ahead." She carried him to the changing table, speaking softly as she worked. "You'll have more lessons today, and then we're going to tour one of the ship's greenhouses. It's important you start feeling at home here." Malachi nodded absently, the weight of reality settling deeper into his bones. He was no longer sure what he was resisting. He wasn't sure if he was resisting at all anymore. By the time breakfast was over and he was seated in another puppet show orientation, something inside him had shifted. Jamie had the same look of determination in her eyes, but Malachi felt strangely detached. She still wanted to fight, but he wasn't sure he did anymore. As Linda tucked him into bed that night, he stared up at her, a question forming in his mind. What if... He hesitated, then swallowed. What if I just stayed? Linda smiled softly, brushing a hand over his forehead. "Then you'd finally be happy, sweetheart." Malachi turned his head into the pillow, staring at the glowing ceiling. For the first time, he considered that maybe she was right. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Mommy Sarah's Story Time. If you enjoyed the stories, please support the channel by liking and subscribing. Remember, my channel is not monetized, and I write most of the content myself. On occasions when I don't, it's sourced through emails from trusted contacts. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. If you're able to, consider making a donation to support our channel. Your support means a lot. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to sharing more stories with you.